Hello and welcome to The Punchline. I'm your comic strip critic, and the Avengers comes out today! Oh yes, I have been looking forward to this one. One of the biggest superhero teams is getting a major movie release and was built up over the course of 5 other movies. You bet I'm gonna go see it. The fact that it was partially filmed in my hometown of Cleveland is just the icing on the cake. And I, being an idiot, didn't go sign up to help out with the production at all. Now, there's not any kind of Avengers comic strip in the newspapers, but Spider-Man's got one. Stan the Man Lee still writes it. And 3 of the Avengers make an appearance in a recent storyline. I mean, it's gotta be pretty awesome, right? I only wish. Strap yourselves in, everybody, because we're taking a look at another storyline today, and this one is 4 months long. So here we go. It's Spider-Man and Thor versus Loki. Our story begins with Peter Parker waking up to Mary Jane's radical new hairstyle, which she says was inspired by a dream that looks like the cover to a Conan the Barbarian novel. The artwork? Yeah, it looks really good when you're viewing it in full screen on a big computer monitor like this. When you're reading this on a tiny newspaper print, it's a little too busy sometimes. Look at the details in that dream sequence, and imagine that reduced to something about 2 square inches. See what I mean? Meanwhile, evil Loki shows off his peeping Tom tendencies watching from Asgard, the home of the gods. And then Thor jumps in, demanding to see Loki. Thor is upset because his girlfriend Sif is missing, and Loki was the last one to see her. Loki says that due to an accident, Sif believes she is a human and then went to Earth. Rather than asking how a mortal could travel to Earth from Asgard, Thor believes Loki and immediately sets off for Earth, which is grounds for eternal banishment, according to his guardian law. Dude, Thor, think here for a minute. You're not a god, you're a human being. Oh. Okay. I guess we'll just go back and join the other humans on Earth then. Up, up, and away! I can't believe that worked. Back on Earth, blah blah blah. Exciting Spider-Man domestic talk that wastes almost an entire week of publishing. And Thor lands on Earth and sets out to find MJ. I sense my beloved Sif is near. I must find her and take her back to Asgard. But there is no need to attract the attention of humans with my helmet, or my cloak. Only my hammer shall I keep at my side, for it and I ne'er must part. Oh, and I'm sure nobody will mind seeing the mythical hammer and skin-tight chainmail bodysuit. Even disregarding the ridiculous outfit, Thor's chiseled good looks and Fabio-like hair make him look like he was meant for the cover of a trashy romance novel. Not trying to hide out in public in New York City. See, I was right, he's spotted almost right away. And somehow, 2 muggers ignore the chainmail-clad, hammer-wielding bodybuilder and try to mug Mary Jane. Peter Parker, rather than giving them a good old superhero butt-kicking, gives them a stern admonishing? Wow. Actually, this is a pretty glaring problem. In his own comic strip, Spider-Man has almost no effect on the plot whatsoever. Anytime he tries to do something that a superhero would normally do, he winds up failing about 95% of the time. In fact, since he winds up failing so much, why don't we have a little fun and play the official Spider-Man drinking game? Every time Spidey tries and fails to do something heroic, take a shot. Now then, where were we? So rather than save his wife, Peter stands by and apparently inner monologues instead. He even lets Mary Jane fend off the attackers herself. Naturally, Thor defeats them with a casual flick of his demigod wrist and then immediately names Mary Jane as his girlfriend Sif. Rather than listen to her and then explain what's going on, he basically just says, "Okay, I gotcha, let's go home now," and then grabs her like a kidnapper. Naturally, Peter steps in to try and stop the God of Thunder and utterly fails, getting knocked into a brick wall while Thor flies off. Peter changes into his Spider-Man suit while Thor lands to talk to Mary Jane and oh jeez, look at Thor's creepy love face! Get it away from me! Look at that! I don't know what it is. It's either Thor's choice of words about how he's Mary Jane's true love, or the rather possessive way he's grabbing her wrist, or those eyes. There's just something that's off about those eyes. But whatever it is, Thor just went from demigod superhero of the Avengers to worst man in history to have as a stalker in record-breaking time. Speaking of the Avengers, Spider-Man says he needs help to take on Thor since he's outclassed by the God of Thunder, and he knows just where to get it. Why, what's that? 3 out of the 4 Avengers appearing in the comic pages mere months before the movie comes out? I wonder why that is. The obvious advertising is really made obvious when both Iron Man and Captain America admit that they have no idea how to contact Thor since they're needed out on the West Coast, and that Thor's probably out of cell phone range. Wait, do Asgardian gods even carry cell phones around with them? I bet Thor uses a BlackBerry Storm. Oh, that was terrible. Let's forget I ever said that. So, in that waste of a week, Spider-Man fails to get help from the Avengers, while they go off and promote their new movie. Take care of something else. Spidey eventually figures out that since Thor is the god of thunder, he'll create a lightning storm when he leaves, even though he didn't do this earlier when he landed on Earth. Spider-Man catches up to them and prepares to do battle. He punches Thor in the face, which fails, and then ties him up in webbing, which also fails. Thor takes off and Spidey latches onto his feet with webbing, essentially hitchhiking along to Asgard. Spidey says that an ordinary woman like MJ won't survive the trip from Earth to Asgard, but then Loki protects her and changes her so that she looks like Thor's girlfriend Sif. But why? What's the point in doing so? Loki needed Thor to think that Mary Jane was Sif so that Thor would go from Asgard down to Earth, which he already did. So then why does Loki care if Mary Jane survives the trip from Earth back to Asgard? And the answer is, he shouldn't! Upon arrival, Thor is stopped from entering Asgard by Heimdall, the guardian of the main gate. Then, for whatever unspecified reason, Mary Jane's magical Sif disguise wears off and she looks like Mary Jane again. And almost instantly, Thor immediately accuses Loki of being responsible for the day's events. What? Loki? The god of mischief and trickery? Thor's longest running enemy? There's no way that can be true. Next thing you know, you're gonna try and tell me that they're actually made of superheroes glowing blue and naked all the time. Ow. Apparently, with all the Asgardians either magicked to sleep or banished, this makes Loki king by default because, hey, that's how Norse god government works. Make sure to schedule your afternoon nap carefully in Asgard, or you'll lose your job. Spider-Man offers to go fight Loki in Thor's stead in order to avoid a Thor versus Heimdall showdown because, really, why run a superhero comic where we can actually show superheroes fighting? He tries to jump over the wall but is zapped by some kind of force field instead. Since jumping over didn't work, Thor decides to throw him through the force field while holding onto his hammer. For some reason, holding the hammer breaks through the force field and Spider-Man jumps off, literally saying, "Bye-bye, hammer," with what I presume is a straight face.
Bye-bye, Poe.
Bye-bye.
I actually kind of wanted to see him keep the hammer to fight Loki. You can't tell me that wouldn't have been awesome. Spider-Man holding the hammer of the God of Thunder? Oh well, shame that didn't happen. Spider-Man finds all the Asgardians asleep while Loki watches, and Thor continues to beg Heimdall to let him through. Then Mary Jane begins to awaken, begging for Peter, but Thor starts panicking since she'll die if she stays in Asgard. And this causes Heimdall to step aside and let Thor pass? Wow. Heimdall is the worst security guard ever. 3 weeks we had to watch Thor and Heimdall butt heads. 3 solid weeks, and this is how it resolves? Most anticlimactic confrontation ever. Spider-Man starts his fight with Loki and instant fail. And since the webbing worked so well on Thor, why not try it again here? Oh, that's why. And so Spider-Man, with a worse memory than Dory, attacks Loki the exact same way he tried the day before yesterday, with the most predictable of results. Then Thor shows up and we get to see the only thing that Spider-Man's been able to successfully do in this storyline: distract Loki so that Thor can finish him off. Terrified, Loki surrenders and reverses his curse on the Asgardians, waking them up from their magical slumber. While Thor deals with his trickster brother, Spider-Man hurries back to Mary Jane, only to find her unconscious and with rapidly failing health. Since both Spidey and MJ are mortals, they'll die if they try to make the journey alone. But that's when Thor shows up to help again, along with the real Lady Sif? Wow. Thor dealt with Loki and found her in record time. Where was she hiding? To help Mary Jane survive the trans-dimensional trip, Sif gives MJ some of her essence, which means that if Mary Jane dies, so does she. Thor whisks the two away back to Earth, and he's even considerate enough to drop them off on the roof of a hospital. Oh, that was nice of him. Spidey tries to get a doctor, but even the freaking nurse's aide blows him off until our hero smashes a nearby gurney. Spider-Man, the superhero who commands absolutely zero respect whatsoever. Mary Jane is eventually put into a doctor's care, and she'll be free to go in the morning with a perfect bill of health. With Mary Jane safe, Thor and Sif turn up one last time to tell Spider-Man that all is well in Asgard, ending our story. And just in time for the Avengers movie too. Isn't it funny how things work out? So that's Thor versus Loki. What, Spider-Man barely did anything and this is his comic strip? I'm not giving him any credit. But you know what? I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy this. It's not very heroic. There are some serious pacing and anticlimax problems in play, and the Iron Man and Captain America cameos are fairly obvious Avengers advertising, as if that movie needed any more, but this was still hilarious to read. It's honestly more entertaining than many of the other so-called comedic strips out there. The Amazing Spider-Man. It's so bad that it somehow becomes good again. I'm your comic strip critic. I read the funny pages and hope that someday they will be, and I am off to see the Avengers.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud, he's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes the Spider-Man. In the chill of night, at the sea